I love how you're the older woman who's being pursued by a younger man. Now,
Don't all of us older women just love that story?
yes. Now, does that happen to you in real life? Is that something you would consider?
Would I consider it? I guess, I don't know. I think that one should never say never. I've been cast opposite a couple of younger men in the last period of time, and I have to say it's wonderful. I think the exploration of relationships in general is my favorite thing to explore in drama, because that's all I really care about. It's kind of a soppy romantic, is love and relationships. But I think whichever way love comes, one has to be open-minded. This film explores how, of course, some love can be deeply impractical and how painful that can be as well. The practicalities of love never do quite add up, but it's a pity that love has to be practical, isn't it? It's so impractical by nature, love, and yet it's the only thing that makes sense.
Max, there are a lot of colorful characters in this film.
Sure.
From Zoe's drugged-out brother to Sam,
Sure.
the naive Sam, and Sam's wimpy best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are any of these based on anyone you know or you've come across?
Yeah, I think I write best from sort of a personal place. You know, I think that's always been easier for me when I've done writing. And, you know, I think to pull from sort of people I know and experiences that I've had, you know, has always been something that I've enjoyed and, is just easier for me. So, that, you know, all the characters have, you know, parts of truth in them, I think, you know, and you know, probably parts of myself, you know, that I'm not so proud of, you know, and, you know, but, you know, the movies about it, you know, looking back on that time in your life, if you're, when you have that sort of reckless abandon for love, and you think that sort of you have the monopoly on all the suffering and heartache there is in the world and no one else can understand, and then you sort of look back on that time, and you're just like, I can't believe that I acted that way. I can't believe that I thought that that was, like, sexy to wear a mustache like that.
Yeah. So is there a part of you that's in Sam?
Mike, would you like to?
You know, Max and I became pretty close friends over the course of filming, but also before and after. But, you know, most of his friends would come up to me and say, hey, man, great job doing Max. And people would always think that I was doing
Is that what my friends talk like?
You don't know your friends.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of people thought I was doing an impression of Max.
Everyone would call me Sam on set and call him Max by mistake. So it was hard because I keep on trying to want to distance myself. Be like, no, it's not me. It's like
even Jake Johnson, who plays Teddy in the film, would always call me. You know, even off camera, he would be like Max, Max, Max. Apparently, we were acting like each other.
So you did a great job.
You know, well, really, the character became like an inside joke between us. You know, my intention at some point.
I never
was
thought
to
of
try
it as a joke.
Yeah.
Your character would be called a cougar. What do you think about that term? A lot of women don't like that term because they feel it's a double standard.
Well, I guess, what do they call older men who chase younger women? Leches? I mean, cougar is probably nicer than lech. You know, this whole new thing of cougar, whatever. When I was growing up, they used to be careful of the lecherous old men.
Right.
I think that women are maybe on the upside. I guess a lot of older men who chase younger women would much rather be called lions.
You can coin that term.
Yeah, we'll call them, look, it'd be nice back. I mean, instead of it being a derogatory and having to take it personally, say, okay, well, we'll stop calling you guys leches. We'll call you lions.
I like that. This character, Zoe, is very beautiful, so it's obvious why Sam would pursue her. There is a major age difference.
Yes.
Would you ever consider dating an older woman?
Yes.
You haven't already?
Yes, I would.
Why?
I find older women incredibly sexy.
Have you dated
Yes.
much older? Can you give an age difference?
You had that fling with Betty White.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to do the math in my head.
How old are you now?
I'm 23.
Okay.
23 and a half.
How about a taller woman?
Taller woman I find even more sexy.
So Uma's perfect for you.
She was perfect.
If only she'd call us back.
She hasn't returned my email since the film.
Sam is sweet and lovable, while Whit is a bit pompous and self-absorbed. And even though the film ended the way it did, which I don't want to give away, I was rooting for Sam the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
If you were on the outside just watching this film, not having had played this character, who would you be rooting for?
I think that I think part of what the story is about is that on a soul level, Zoe belongs with Sam, and Sam happens to be impractically younger than her. He happens to be at a point in his life that she's not in hers, and there's so many different levels to being. You can fall deeply in love with someone and hopefully not have to have it manifest in a way that you can't realize, like romantic love. You can have that without having to lose it, but romantic love is something that you tend to have and then lose, or have it. I guess some people keep, but many more will relate to the idea of loving and losing than I think loving and keeping. But I guess, love comes in all shapes and sizes. I think that's part of the story, is that it's kind of, it's almost like using age as the barrier. It's a Romeo and Juliet kind of story.
I don't even think that you're much older than him. He just has such a boyish face.
He has a very boyish face, and he has a very sweet nature, and he doesn't have he's not cynical. I think part of the film also is about the sort of difference between the cynicism of what time and loss can do to people, and the sort of protagonist characters, these young guys, how they are deeply sincere and optimistic, and they haven't had that part of them taken away or beaten up. And the story is kind of a little bit about some of the roughing up that happens to you as you grow up, and as you get into that big bad world of grown-up, complicated love.
And Max, everyone knows your dad as
Of course,
Hans,
of course.
but he also directs. Did
Sure.
he give you any pointers?
He would give me just fatherly sort of pointers, and he was very big on comfortable shoes. He said that if I wore, I'm wearing Vans right now. He said if I wore my Vans, I was going to be very sorry, which I was. So he went to take me to like the New Balance store and got me some shoes that I never wore because they were so ugly. But he was very big on comfortable shoes, and he always, whenever he was on set, he would have a gun in his pants. So he told me to have a gun on set.
Has he seen it?
He's seen the. Well, we edited the movie in my childhood bedroom, just because I think after a movie you sort of want to be as close to your mother as possible, and so there was a lot of interaction, probably too much of just like trying to edit and being taken seriously by the producers, and having your father walk in flannel pants and a fishing hat with chocolate cake. Probably not what you want when you're trying to behave as an adult.
And then one last question. Michael, your character is just very comedic on his own. From what he says, to how he says it, to what he wears, especially
Right.
that one burnt orange suit.
Hideous.
Yeah.
Now, did you have any favorite scenes in the movie?
For me, the movie was a very important, cathartic movie to make, and probably the most fun I've had on a set. So all the scenes are really very close to me, and I really am very fond of.
But if you had to
all
pick
of
a
them.
favorite, Michael.
Or something you loved about your character?
I really liked playing a character who had to talk so much, because I also have a tendency to talk way too much in my private life. So I enjoyed being able to extrapolate on camera. Is that the right word? Maybe so. Somebody get a dictionary.
Max's favorite scene is when Marshall and Sam are lying on the bed head to toe. Were there any scenes that you were particularly fond of?
I love that scene. I love many of the scenes. I love the scene of when they all go chasing the pieces of paper in the swamp, and that's a game.
Right.
I thought Lee Pace's character and his performance were just brilliant across the board, as did I think the guys were, and Michael Angarano is just spectacular to work with. I think my favorite scene in the movie is where you see all the characters and you see Max's writing, I think, and his directing magnificently. It's the orchestration of the dinner party scene. Mm-hmm. The relationship between Zoe and her brother, and his tragedy and her tragedy, and their loss and their humor, and the complexity of having cheated on the man that you're with a younger man who you love, who you can never be with, and having it all sort of happen and have everyone understand and not understand at the same time. There's some slice of life in that scene that I just think is beautifully executed, and all the characters are sort of sparkling, and you kind of get the whole story right
We're
there.
going to see another action movie, and you're doing Kill Bill 3.
Kill Bill 3 is slated, but it's not. I don't think it's written. There's a story to it, and Quentin has written and is ready to make another film. So we'll see down the road.